Okay, so just moving on to one last example for the eraser tool, um, an image with a little bit more fine detail. So again, first step, just going to go to image mode, CMYK, although you can do this in RGB. I just like to always do that step first and then go into my eraser tools, just toggling to the right tool, that background eraser, and then I will click on my background, Command J to duplicate it. I'm gonna create a layer in between, and I'm gonna fill it with a contrasting color. I think maybe this should be some kind of blue. Um, let's see, maybe something like that. And I'm gonna click on that top layer and start destructively editing it. Again, just to go over the settings, I have this middle sampling once, discontiguous, and my tolerance is at 50%. And because this is, again, a white background, it is a lot easier to pick up. And really this tool works best when it's like good contrast from the background to the object that you're trying to select. So just keep that in mind. But I'm just going to click and just start dragging, and you can see how easily it's picking up. I haven't even lifted up my mouse click once yet. Again, because this is all white background, I'm just kind of clicking and then holding that click and dragging across this whole file, and you can see it's doing a great job at picking up all those like fine details. And again, it's not perfect, but it's a great way to select this fine level of detail. And just like that, I've created a pretty great selection on this image. So you can keep working on it a little bit more, but I think that's pretty good for now. So I'm going to hide this. I'm going to select the background, Command J again to copy it, Command bracket right to move it up, and I'm going to hold down Command and click on this top layer here. And that way I can add a mask to this, but I am going to do the same thing that I did in all the other ones, which is Command Option R to select and mask. And then I can try a couple different things. Again, decontaminate colors works really well when you're talking about a white background, but there's other things you can do too, like the contrast tool should work okay, and then shifting edge like works well for these. So you can see when I do that, it eliminates some of that white there. But if you don't want to bother with either of those, you can always go back, click this little back button here, and click decontaminate colors, and again that does a pretty good job of it, but remember that's going to add another destructive edit to the layer, which is fine. So always remember output to new layer with layer mask, so it's not destructive because it's at least creating a new layer. I hit OK, and there we have it. Again, it's copied that. I still have my original layer. I can add a mask to that and make some more changes if I want, but really I have what I need, and I have the original stuff there in case I want it. But that's pretty good. And again, like, you can change this background out to whatever you want, and it does a pretty great job at keeping all those particles. And again, I'm just going to keep changing background colors, so here you can see, like, it's done a great job at that. And again, if you want to you can always go back into this and refine it by clicking on the mask and relaunching your selected mask. And then if I want to use this refine edge tool, that will take away like some more of this like really fine detailing, but it will kind of encroach more on the contrast of the bigger bits. And actually, I'm holding the option key to get to negative, because the positive one is kind of just going crazy and selecting the background. So you have to kind of play around with it. It's like anything else. It's always about experimenting and seeing which tools get you the best. And this is just like cleaning up a little bit. It's not doing a ton. But again, that's all like different things you can do. And you can even add if you want to add like a layer above it and some blending mode stuff, you can do that to mess around with it. Hold option in between the layers and click, or command option G, and then you can mess around with blending modes, maybe even like a multiply blending mode, and then clicking one of these darker colors. I don't know. Let's see what happens with these like brownish colors. That's a pretty good color. That's a pretty good color. And with multiply, I'm just going to make my brush really big, but I'm going to put the opacity on like 10, so that it's not, you know, you can see it's just making it a little darker, so it looks a little bit more realistic on this background. And you know, these are just ways you can kind of keep playing with these things and making them look more realistic on whatever color background they're on. But again, you can see all this fine detail that got picked up so quickly and easily using that eraser tool, that background eraser tool. Okay, and that's pretty much it. This should give you a lot of different ways to use this tool with a lot of different complex backgrounds or a lot of complex objects.